My property taxes have close to doubled in the 15 years I've been here.
After 2 years in here, the property taxes went up 25%, and it did increase tremendously, and it did put a burden in the finances.
The problem is the state funding hasn't kept up with this growing district of so many students. They keep taxing the same people over and over again, and eventually our taxpayers' pockets are just going to run dry.
For years now, New Jersey homeowners have struggled with some of the highest property taxes in the nation. There's a reason for the problem, and there is a solution. The reason: New Jersey relies far too heavily on property taxes to fund government services, including public education. For decades in New Jersey, the ratio between local property taxes and state funding has been approximately 60-40. 60% property taxes, 40% state aid. In comparison, the average state pays 50% of school costs. Federal funds also help pay for schools, but here again, New Jersey suffers. Our state receives the nation's smallest ratio of federal aid to education, less than 3%.
Property taxes are not the problem. It's how we use them. As a source of revenue for funding education, they are a stable source, and they guarantee and ensure that communities have a degree of say-so regarding their local schools. But property taxes are regressive in nature. They're not based on one's ability to pay. Taxes like the income tax are far more progressive because they are based entirely on one's ability to pay, and there's a broader revenue stream.
New Jersey's over-reliance on property taxes hurts all of its citizens, but especially those with limited resources, like senior citizens on fixed incomes or young families starting out.
When you get that tax bill, you've got a big chunk that has to come out of a Social Security check, whatever kind of interest you may be collecting. And if people are very limited with funds in that respect, they're going to have a tough time.
Over-reliance on property taxes also hurts our schools.
Over the past 15 years, our school district has passed only 6 budgets, and it really pits the community against each other. There are individuals, many who really support the school system, but because their property taxes are so high, they feel they have to vote no. Community members end up arguing with each other. It's not that they don't like kids and people get blamed for not wanting to support the kids, but it becomes an issue of there's just so much I can spend on property taxes.
Adding to the property tax burden is New Jersey's repeated failure since 2001 to follow its own school funding law. For 5 years, schools have received little or no increase in state aid. In this climate, school districts have made efforts to reduce and control costs, but those initiatives cannot overcome the impact of less state money, combined with rising student enrollments and the skyrocketing costs of utilities, fuel, and health benefits.
In order to maintain what we have, the burden is going to have to go somewhere, and the board is already having to look at where they can reduce the budget. And unfortunately, as most know, you can't reduce utilities, you can't reduce insurances, you've got to look at staff and programs.
Public school officials are concerned about maintaining the quality of our academic programs. New Jersey can be proud of the strength of its public schools. New Jersey is among the top 5 states in the nation in the number of high schools offering advanced placement courses that allow high school students to earn college credit. And New Jersey students score second best in the nation on advanced placement tests. We have the 3rd highest percentage of students going on to college. Our 4th grade reading scores are the 4th highest in the nation. And we have the lowest high school dropout rate. Clearly, New Jersey residents get an excellent return on their investment.
My older children have all been through the school system from the beginning. I'm very happy with the quality of the education that they're receiving, but somehow the funding has to be sorted out so it's not all hit in our pocket coming out of our property taxes.
The New Jersey School Boards Association has a property tax reform plan that consists of 3 principles: a statewide decrease in local property taxes, matched dollar for dollar by a shift to a permanent, more progressive state funding source like the state income tax.
Any successful plan to reform property taxes must create a tax shift, not a tax hike. And such a shift would immediately benefit virtually every resident in all communities in New Jersey.
However, putting ideas into action will require political will. What can you do to promote a fair tax system, one that supports public schools without overburdening property taxpayers? Get involved. Call, write, or email your legislators. Let them know New Jersey needs a tax shift and that you'll support an increase in the state income tax if it leads to lower property taxes. Let them know the time to act on tax reform is now. To get the information you need, visit the New Jersey School Boards Association's website at njsba.org. Other states have taken on the property tax issue. So can New Jersey.
If we have some sort of any way that we can have the government, the state government, help in funding the public school system and take some relief, give some relief to the homeowners, of course, why not? And the benefit is better school, better education for the kids, and less tax expense or less expense for the homeowner. Who wouldn't?
To take action, call toll-free 1-888-88-NJSBA or go to www.njsba.org.